Ladies and gentlemen, order in the court. Today's proceedings finds the people versus James McGill.
Legal troubles got you down? Bosses refusing to pay out? Hit and run leave you stunned? Drug lords in your future? Maybe not, because he'll get your case dismissed. He'll get you the defense you deserve. But only if you say the words.
Oh no, I need legal representation. Whatever shall I do? What do I say? Oh wait, I know.
Better
Call
Saul.
Saul. So without further ado, it's time to start judging Saul. Court is now in session.
You will atone.
All right, so we're really late, and the mid-season finale. The mid-season finale is almost upon us. Wait, no, not the mid-season finale.
The season finale.
I wish it was the mid-season finale. I wish we had half a season left, but the season finale is almost upon us. It's the eve of the season finale. If you're watching this on the East Coast, it's the day of the season finale. But we're here to talk about Wiedersehen, and that's very appropriate because Wiedersehen.
It's like it's literally said like it. Basically, it's Wiedersehen without the ad, so it's Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen.
There you go.
Wiedersehen. All right. Goodbye, Dragon. Goodbye to Better Call Saul because it is ending and we don't have a lot of time, so let's just dive right into it, Dragon. This episode was directed by the one, the only, the sandwich-wielding Vince Gilligan.
Yes, of course, it's directed Uno, Click, and especially for this episode, what might predetermine our finale, season finale, Full Measure, the big Full Measure episode that ended season 3. So that was all Vince Gilligan.
And Dragon, I gotta say, listening to the Insider podcast, it delighted me to no end to get the whole I don't know. I was just sitting there eating a hot dog.
I told you it's what Okay, and our writer was the wonderful Jennifer Hutchinson. Now, Jennifer Hutchinson, she has written episodes such as Salud, Cornered, and from this season, Pinata. Yeah.
Big episode. All right, so Dragon, I'm sorry, I'm a little scrambled right now given the circumstances. Why don't we just jump right into it and I'll pull up my notes, all right? You start us off.
All right. Okay, so we start the episode. Kim is on crutches. Why? We're going to find out. She's on crutches. She's heading to Lubbock. Lubbock. Sorry, I don't know why he's... I'm thinking of Cheers right now with Lubbock. Sorry, wrong. They're going to the Lubbock, Texas City Hall Department, specifically the Department of Building Safety, basically where all the plans of the buildings get okayed and everything. It's kind of the final. That's important. So we're following Kim. I love this really nice and narrow setting for the hallways. It's really good. I think they kind of lucked into a set. I don't know how much of that's built from scratch. I think they just kind of went on location, really lucked out. I don't know 100%, but it looks great.
Reagan, there's two things about this set piece that really kind of make me kind of perk up right off the bat. One, the hallways are vaguely Hamlin to go blue.
That's cool.
And two, we get the copier right off the bat. The copier is perhaps one of the most important symbols of Better Call Saul.
The copier is great, and I love kind of like the little narrow background hallway where like intersection is bound, which of course makes perfect sense for what's about to happen. So I love that. Okay, let's see. So we have basically Kim is pulling we have a slipping Kimmy in effect here. You know, the fusion of, it's kind of a Giselle St. Clair, Victor with a K type scam we got going on here. So, Slippin' Kim is in effect here. Kim, just to summarize this a little bit here. Kim has gone to the branch here. I kind of called this, by the way. Kim's gotten cocky since kind of Slippin' Kimmy is in effect the relationship of kind of like Saul Goodman and Kim kind of on the high of like, oh man, look what we can get away with. She's kind of in for the scams now. As she again, it's kind of her dark Achilles heel. We're going to be developing this onward. She's gotten cocky and she's attempting to switch the Mesa Verde Bank plans. Basically trying to do the impossible because Walktail just wanted to just on a whim, he just wanted to go for a specific bank design.
Like a kid who wants more candy at dessert time, right?
Yes, and Kim, again, Tiki and I were kind of speculating about this last episode. Basically, it was like an impossible thing. It's like a last minute thing. Kevin was like kind of crossing his fingers, like, maybe we can make this happen. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, I have to tell you, it's impossible. And again, Kim, now cocky after the success she had with Huel, she's saying, you know what, I could do that just because I can. And that's basically what this whole opening is here. She strategically she befriends Shirley, our clerk, basically the plan notarizer, kind of the notary of the blueprints. And the con here is that Kim is pretending to be an overwhelmed recent mother of an 8-month-old, and she's injured. She's a lot of Kim being injured this season, of course, with the cast, and of course now with the fake, the cast around the foot. She's really flustered. She wants to check the plans because she thinks she might have botched it up, and of course, she would have to refile, which again is why the thing would have been impossible, because you have to refile to add on to the bank plans. Basically, she has to like sneak an extra page into the plan. Essentially, that's what she's trying to do here. And Kim's very she's playing like, I just want to check to make sure. By all means, I'll fill out the paperwork if that needs to be done. I just don't want to go ask the boss. You know how that goes. So she's getting conning her for a simple bait and switch. Essentially, it's a really great elaborate bait and switch, and I love it.
All right, so she goes and pulls out the files. They go and check them, and to the naked eye, it looks identical.
I just love the strategy in this, Tiki. What they're doing is she's getting ready for like a shell game bait and switch, where she lays out the plans on the counter. She comes around with her to the counter, and basically they're going through this is one specific. And basically every page, but maybe 1 or 2 pages is identical. That's the gag here. So basically going through one of the identical pages and going through every detail, so she knows like, okay, yep, this is pretty much there. And Kim says, yeah, checks out. We're all good here. No problems here. It's kind of pulling the wool over poor Shirley's eyes, and I love Shirley here. She seemed really nice.
She fits right into the ABQ verse and kind of like one of those like, Nacho's father type of, like pure good. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of pure good characters in the Breaking Bad universe, but she's one of them, I think.
Kim, again, is hitting all the perfect notes here. She hits like she's got an 8-month-old. She basically twisted her ankle like trail running. And she has this bumbling brother who's helping her. Her bumbling brother Bill is helping her take care of the child while she is injured, and she mentions like he tries, but So again, importantly, she throws some shade on the brother here, so everything checks out. So again, importantly, there is no problem here. That's important. Right now, there is no problem. Everything's fine. Then I just love on cue practically. Bill enters from the back, and I just love the intersection here. Like he's just walking in. It's perfect. He's walking in here, and he wants to check. He wants her to check the breast milk because it's feeding time. The kid's hungry, and it looks like the breast milk may have gone sour. So, and then basically, she, as any rational mother would be, she is freaking out. Like, wait a minute, where's I'm sorry, it's the kids. The kids and Aiden. I just love out of all the names she could have given this kid, Aiden. I just love that. Where's Aiden, Bill? Aiden, no, he's in the car. You left my baby in the car again. Kim's
I cracked the windows.
Cracked the windows. He's fine. So she's freaking out like any mother would. And I love that Shirley's like passing so much judgment here. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Oh, like Better Call Saul, of course, is known for the non-verbal acting, and Shirley is like on fire with it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then, of course, I love how as Kim rushes out, she's like, "Go on, Bill. Go help her."
Great. Again, this is Bob Odenkirk playing classic Mr. Show right here. And
Oh yeah. So He's got like the Jimmy Buffett shirt and like the fast food like styrofoam drinking cup.
Jimmy McGill, ever since season 1 of Better Call Saul, he loves the big gulps. He just can't get enough of them. He loves the big gulps. So 2 things real quick. One, this scene was pitched a little differently, and I love what they ultimately ended up here. Apparently, the original pitch for this was a lot darker and simpler. It was basically Jimmy was going to play a guy hitting on her, and he basically Kim elbows the jerk, and then he bleeds all over the plans, and they have to switch him. That was the original. Basically, gain sympathy of the woman behind the counter. That was the original pitch for this whole scam, and then of course it doesn't really have like the fun and kind of like the slipping Kimmy appeal. So they switched that out very rightly so. It's a little fun fact there. And importantly, Kim has rolled up the other plans, the spare plans that she brought the check with, and she rolled it up in safety here. So there's only one plan on the counter. It's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this plan at all, and I think it's delightful. But as Kim is hobbled out, the breast milk was left and punctured, and it's leaking all over the official plans that have been submitted. So Kim comes back, and what happens?
What happens is that Shirley's cleaning up the plans, but to no avail. They've just been completely ruined. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch out the other plans for the plans that you brought for your copy. Because we mothers, we got to stick together.
And importantly, Kim made it that basically she incepted the idea into Shirley's mind so brilliantly. Essentially, that Shirley is like she's saving the day here. So, Shirley gets a moment in the sun here to save like this poor working mother.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. And again, we have like the approved stamp, approved, and the great ironies about. I love this kind of hit me on a rewatch. The great irony of the approval stamp of like we're getting a stamp on some legalese here, and then of course in the end it's about not getting a stamp on certain legalese. That's great.
And I've got some theories about this, Dragon. I think you're gonna like my theories.
Okay, we'll see. Oh, real quick before we go any further, I just wanted to mention Guillermo del Toro shares our views on Better Call Saul, that he likes it better Breaking Bad as well.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah, both great, of course. He like throwing a shade.
I know it's like I was about to say, like like you're kind of making it out like we hate Breaking Bad or something, which we clearly don't.
No, it's Del Toro's of the same mindset. Both great, but Better Call Saul, it's the little mundanities, and it's the intensity within the mundanities. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're a little bit vindicated on there. We're not crazy.
Yeah.
The man won an Oscar. He knows something.
He's at the height of his powers, to quote Rudnick.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Let's see. So following our cold open scan there, we are at Casa Tranquila home, which basically means the House of the Tranquil, which is very specifically the very same nursing home that Hector Salamanca resides in Breaking Bad.
Of course.
Yeah. Which Tiki looks. We didn't go over this. Do we have that?
Do we have? Oh yes. Hold on. Uno momento. I believe it is this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, so folks, we're linking up here with Breaking Bad bigger than we ever had before. Like, we're in the actual nursing home. Lalo and Nacho pay him a visit. You take us through it.
Okay, so first of all, Lalo, he sees Hector and he's just like, oh, Jesus, what has happened to him? He's very concerned. But then, then he goes over it. He starts talking like always. And of course, the great Mark Magula's Dragon. We get the classic, like, the huffing and the heavy breathing and the pissed off face that Hector makes. It's all very, it's all, like you said, it's all very much lining up with Breaking Bad. So let's see. So Lalo's asking him a couple questions.
And we learn that, tap once is yes, and, no tap is... Because basically, I love the visual image of he can only tap the wheelchair. There's nothing there. We know exactly what's going to happen. But we don't know what's happening here, but we know where it's going to end up. And I love... It just gets like the saddest low point we could see Hector Salamanca, because he's in a chair and he doesn't even have like that distinction yet. The cool thing with Lalo we got to cover real quick is that Lalo... I love the sense of history that we have conveyed through the performance here, that Lalo hero worshipped his uncle. And the idea, we kind of learned this in the Insider podcast, and I wonder if we're going to elaborate this as it goes forward, is that he was like the kid in the family. He's like in the gang of the Salamanca clan. It's like, oh yeah, good for Lalo. Basically, he was viewed as Fredo. He's like a more charming, more competent Fredo, essentially, in the Salamanca family. And I love that he looks vaguely like Fredo, too, with the mustache, by the way.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I love it. And he's
essentially like, I view it as he's kind of like an inverse of the cousins.
Essentially, yeah, he's the emotional.
Kind of have the physical intimidation, Whereas he's not really that physically intimidating, but he's got the mouth on him, whereas the cousins are silent. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He uses his words. His words are his weapon.
If you look at the family tree of the Salamancas, it goes from the most chatty to the least chatty, and you kind of have basically the more silent you are, the more respectable and more menacing you are. And it's kind of the way it goes. Like you have Tuco and Hector in kind of a similar boat. They're men of few words, or like men of again, Tuco's kind of chatty. That's why he's kind of like basically he's one above Lalo here, and then of course you have Hector and then the cousins at the very end of the spectrum. Like, you don't want to mess with these guys.
Yeah, well, I'd say Hector is probably on the very top, all things considered.
That's fair. I'm just saying, by the same token, Hector, again, he had the wool pulled over his eyes. The cousins never.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyways,
I go. Yes, keep going.
Okay, so let's see. So
Hector seems to like the kid, by the way, because Hector it's kind of hard to tell if he's smiling or just kind of just menacingly, just kind of looking and maybe drooling a little bit. I think he kind of likes the kid. He kind of perked up. Who has is the brass guy around here?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dragon. You're gonna have to take me. You're gonna have to kind of take me through this scene, because this is one of the scenes that I didn't really get a chance to take good notes on. So, right. you do this scene, and then I'll tag team on the next scene. Okay.
All right, well, essentially, this is what I was going to summarize it a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's the story. So, essentially, again, Hector takes a liking to. I get a sense of history that Hector liked this kid growing up. There's like Frey, you pat him on the head. He's a good Salamanca boy. Just he's not cut out for the business, essentially. So, he's the sentimental nostalgist of the Salamanca clan. We kind of get a story that shows that here with Lalo. So again, Lalo's getting more interesting as we keep seeing more of the guy. He reminds him of Hector's younger, more violent days, which again makes me think that's at the very least that's why Hector likes this kid. He reminds him of the days when he was on the top of the world, when he was the Salamanca, and he basically lovingly, and this is the great performance here. He lovingly reminisces over Hotel Tulipan. Now, Hotel Tulipan essentially was this hotel. I guess the Salamancas were kind of they visited, or maybe they extorted money from. It's like an insurance business, like a sort of protection job. I'm not sure. Maybe
basically it was an oops insurance,
possibly, or just like one of the various businesses they collect money from. I don't know. They work. The point is, it was a place they frequented or they visited, and the idea is this story that he's getting at is that Hector was so polite to the manager, again, quote unquote polite, in that he kind of. He treated him with what he thought was respect, basically like what he was trying to do with Nacho's father in the past, of I'm going to run my drugs through this business, and you're just going to sit there, shut up, and just kind of say yes, essentially. Basically, I'm going to use your business as a front of some kind. And then this guy, he made a big show of saying no, kind of like what Nacho's dad was going to do if Hector was going to stick around. So essentially, this guy, he made a big show. He was a professor. He was a very kind of intellectual, very kind of stuck-up, snooty, fancy guy. He stood up to him, made a big show of it, and he had a very he had a fancy lifestyle. Had all these great trinkets and everything, and Hector they imply that he did more horrible stuff that didn't make it into the final cut of the episode. Like he might have raped his wife, but they couldn't get away with that, or they opted out of that. But the point is, he burned down the hotel, most like with these guys in it, by the way, because the Salamancas love to burn things down. If we've noticed anything, Salamancas love fire. And Lalo, he went inside the building after it was set ablaze and smelled terrible. He went inside the building and melted his shoes a little bit to grab a souvenir because he's sentimental. And Tiki, what was that souvenir?
Well, first of all, as soon as he pulls out that present, Dragon, we know exactly what it is. It's the bell.
Now, for a moment, I had a hesitation in thinking, no, they're not going to do it here. But then it gets, when he mentions the hotel, it's oh my God, it's going to make sense. It's yes, the bell. And so Tiki, I love this. This Tiki, in no show other than Better Call Saul would this work. This
is definitely prequel baiting. You know what I mean? It truly is, but it's prequel baiting in the best of ways.
That's the thing. It's in any other prequel show, this would feel okay, now we're just forcing an importance around the item that we recognize. But no, it works here because
here, kid, have this blaster. Now you know where the blaster came from. Chewbacca. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go ahead.
Serious. It's the fact that we have the bell, the iconic bell, and you gotta wonder, would the nursing home have given him that bell? And maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have. But if you really think about it, this makes more sense that it was like a gift then it's been tied on a chair. I forget if it was tied on the chair before. I'm just going to assume it was because I always remember the bell being there. I never saw how it was adhered.
I think in Better Call Saul, or I think in Breaking Bad at the very least, it was tied more securely onto the chair, if not welded onto the chair.
I like that it's a red thread, though. I like that it's, again, the color of criminality in the Albuquerque versus red and yellow, especially red. So the point is, I love this bell holds significance to a massacre that Hector Salamanca just being a really cruel guy. It's a reminder of his youth and what this big moment signifies here. Like now when he says yes, it commands a little bit of, it irritates people, and it will either irritate people or terrify them when you hear that bell ring. And essentially what Lalo's done here so well, and Lalo has ingratiated himself with Hector yet again. He's it's a smart move, as well as like a move that is representative of him loving his family and him like celebrating the Salamanca name. It's the fact that he now has given Hector, who's at his lowest point, at his most helpless point, Hector now has a haunting voice to torture people with. Again, torture whether just the annoyance or just torture people like Jesse Pinkman, like fretting his pants while he's crafting himself, as Hector's crafting himself in an interrogation years later. And of course, hey Nacho, can you get us some? He tells Nacho to get some Jello. Of course, we'll call back to Jello.
Yes.
The episode that should have been called Jello, but instead it was called Alpine Shepherd Boy. So then Lalo, again, very strategically, he's asking a big business question, again, kind of like Alfredo trying to prove himself. That's my summation. That's my assumption. Well, tell me about the Chilean. He wants to know about Fring, which is going to pay off big time. We have this gag with a lady in her purse. I don't know if you caught this. Like I said, the first time I was watching it, there's this Nacho's kind of lingering around. You have this lady who sees Nacho, she goes for her purse. It's like there's an unsavory element.
I didn't catch that.
It's really funny. I watched it the first time. I was like laughing so hard. It was so, oh my God. So then we have this. I think one of the perfect lines of the episode. One of the funniest lines.
Can I do it?
You remember it?
Yeah, I remember it.
Oh, what's the line?
Same old Hector just wants to kill everybody.
Just wants to kill everybody. Same old Hector just wants to kill everybody. I'm sorry, it's just so great. And I gotta tell you, this kind of communicates to me, and again, we'll see how this goes with another show that's going to be coming soon. But I gotta tell you, the way that Lalo's being played, at least in this scene, and so far in the Albuquerque verse, he's kind of being played like the version I'd love to see of Bullseye in a Netflix Daredevil show. This is basically Bullseye, a guy who's like, he's so pleasant, so kind of nice, but he's so psychotic. Like he basically enjoys kind of like killing people and stuff versus like it being a job. And this guy has such a Bullseye quality to him. I love it. All right.
So we're at the diner with Kim and Jimmy.
Yes.
So let's see. They're going over the
switch back if you care.
What?
Switch back if you feel like it.
Oh, yes, right. Okay, so they're going over the essentially, Dragon. This is a conversation over the morality of the slipping Kimmy stuff. Oops, ignore that.
Well, actually, it could be our root image if you want to. That is the name of the episode.
Okay, fair enough.
You're cool. Okay, keep going. So, diner.
Yes, diner. So, so long story short, Dragon, just to kind of sum it up, they're basically talking about how,
pancakes. Talking about well, start with they're talking about like biggest versus the best pancake, but then they got a 300-mile drive.
Yeah, but then they basically essentially it's kind of the predecessor to the Saul Goodman business. Saul mentions, working with the clients through the cell phone program kind of makes me think that we could run a whole business giving people the Huel Babineau treatment.
Yes.
Potentially undoing life-ruining sentences.
Yes.
And Kim, Kim's kind of questioning this. She says, I think we need to use our powers for good. And, of course, this kind of sparks a little bit of a rift between the two of them.
Jimmy calls her on this, and I love that he called her on this, because it makes sense. Because, Kim isn't doing this out of the goodness of her heart, essentially, either.
Mm-hmm. He's like, don't get me wrong, I loved every minute of it, but you realize we just drove like 1,000 miles to Texas to make your bank 15% bigger.
13. I'm just saying it's because it's even sadder. It's the fact that basically we made a bank bigger by 13%. We did all of that just to make again for Kim to do the impossible. Basically, it was Kim doing a scam out of ego, out of like I just want to do it for fun. I'm going to do the impossible because I can get away with it.
Uh-huh.
And again, she kind of has that Saul Goodman fire about her deep down. Again, she's got her own kind of Slip and Jimmy side to her, and we do set a lot of seeds here. Absolutely, that Saul Goodman made a lot of clients, and he's going to have to keep the name so those clients can recognize him again through all those phones. Again, we're weaving some really great threads that are going to pay off.
Sure.
Okay. But Jimmy, he relents. They're unsure how, but they'll be together essentially. We'll know it when we see it. And they're kind of holding hands. Like everything seems to be good, but again, Jimmy did call her out on it. They're both aware they're not exact. Neither of them are in the right.
All right. Okay, so back with the Germans, we see another perspective shot of the dynamite being loaded. I love how this is kind of a running thing throughout the season.
This is probably I gotta tell you, so far, and we'll see in the next episode, of course, but I gotta tell you, out of this might be the most tense sequence in the whole season.
Well, Dragon, I gotta say, the German plot might be my favorite plot of the entire season, depending on how it wraps up. I'm really invested in it.
So what we're seeing unfold is the big blasting that we've been hyping up so far. And of course, this thing we've been preparing for it to go belly up in a big way. So they're preparing to blast through this giant rock, which essentially will create the elevator that we see in Breaking Bad that, Walter White smuggled in through the laundry and stuff. Basically, they smuggle out the dead bodies in Breaking Bad in the super lab. Essentially, that's what they're building right now. And it's like another 25% of the remaining job. Essentially, that's essentially what you have the elevator, and then you have like the wall, and then they fill in the wall, and then they'll be done. So let's see. So Werner is Kai. Kai initially is inserting the dynamite because again he's the demolitions expert. That's important. Kai, our troublemaker, is in charge of this job. He's inserting the dynamite. He's preparing everyone. They're preparing the diversion. Like Tyrus is basically ready to make a loud noise to cover the explosion on the outside. It's a very intricate, it's a very well-timed procedure. Like 2 big sticks of dynamite are inserted. Warner's like checking out and making sure the numbers are right and everything. Kai essentially is our red herring again because we're expecting Kai to botch
Kai
this.
has been the ultimate red herring the whole season, Dragon. I've been calling that.
And Tiki, I was on the edge of my seat watching this. And of course, we have the big namesake of the episode, Wiedersehen, which, by the way, translates, and this is thematic. I bring it up for this reason. So we're always used to that Wiedersehen, which means basically translates to goodbye. Wiedersehen by itself translates to meet again.
Oh, okay.
Which I find interesting. Again, maybe they're just kind of shortening it for Wiedersehen because there is a kind of a big goodbye in the episode. There's a lot of potential goodbyes, but there's also a lot more meet agains. Like, we're going to meet again. There's a plan to meet again. I think food for thought. So put a little pin in that for the end of the episode. Meet again. I guess the idea is like they're going to blow this away either as a goodbye or you're going to meet again at the other side. Who knows?
Gotcha.
So everybody's standing. They're standing by because there's a problem. What's the problem, Tiki?
The problem is that, like, basically, I don't know the exact legalese for this, Dragon, or the technical terminology for this, but essentially, one of the safety lights isn't going off.
Yes, which means they have to adjust some wires and basically reattach the cables so it goes. They need 3 green lights. They got 2 green. I love the simplicity of it. That light is not green, which means we're not a go. So then we have this bold, very Hurt Locker-esque sequence where Werner basically he kind of the patriarch, kind of the paternal element, which we've been really kind of foreshadowing with Werner. Again, Werner and Mike have that paternal element about them. The boys that they're kind of trying to maintain and kind of manage. And I like that Werner has always been going to bat for these kids, even Kai, who's giving them the most trouble. And Werner's putting himself on the line here because Werner, one, he needs this job to go well for reasons we're going to see unfold later in the episode. And 2, I guess secondly, Werner, he's putting it out. He doesn't want anyone to get killed, and he wants to make sure he's putting it all on himself here. It's like make or break. He's the most qualified out of all these guys. He's the most expendable by that logic.
Mm-hmm.
So Werner is going down there. Very tense. It's very nerve-wracking sequence of Werner. He's pulling out the dynamite very slowly, and I remember it's like an idiot. I was watching this. on TV. I was like, Warner, don't go down there! No! Don't go back, send Kai down there. I was like, I was waiting for Kai to like push the wrong button or something. Like,
Oh,
no!
God, right. Oh,
Or
man.
like, because basically Warner is down there, and again, Warner
Dragon,
is.
here's the thing. If Warner would have just gotten blown up, I think it would be less heartbreaking than what's ultimately going to happen to Warner.
Yeah, he's such a goner. It's so sad.
Yep.
So he adjusts the wire, he fixes it, but you see Warner really stressed. I gotta tell you, part of me, if he didn't get blown up, I thought Warner he might have a heart attack down there. I thought he was going to be in really bad shape.
God.
I thought he was panicking again, and as any one of us would, you'd be panicking that close to all that dynamite, and knowing something bad could happen to you, and knowing that you'd be stuck here if this goes belly up.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, basically, he has the realization that the whole. I think the reason he kind of stresses out while he's down there specifically is that if this goes wrong, it's gonna be a long while before he sees his wife, and all of this is gonna go south. It's all hinging on this moment, and of course he's like saying to himself in German, like, pull yourself together. He gets back on top. Mike sees his hand twitching.
Dragon. What about Mike?
Well, Tiki, I think if we've learned anything about Mike Ermintrout, it's the fact that we love Mike.
Yes.
Boy, oh boy, folks. I mean, we can't say enough nice things about Jonathan Banks, but you know who we can never say enough nice things about? Mike Ermintrout, the character. And we love to commemorate that with like a little visual inkling each episode. It's like a bingo card of Jonathan Banks, if you will. Right now we have, not counting our big old kind of Jonathan Banks with cake celebrating, we have 9 little markers of Mike.
I gotta say, Dragon, the one for this episode is probably my favorite one of all.
Yeah, it is probably the best. Here, it's the one. If we ever had like the kind of toast better Call Saul, I think the best image is probably this. Good job. But oh my god, seriously, Mike is great in this episode. We see Mike in kind of that fixer mentality where Mike notices the little things and those little things pay off big time.
Mm-hmm.
We have the observational Mike this episode. It's delightful. So speaking of the observational Mike, getting back on point here, Mike notices Werner's hand twitching there. So he's noticing there's something off with Werner, and we're going to see what exactly Mike's going to do about that. So the blast is a go. They time it right with Tyrus on the outside. He drives like over this big truck. Basically, it's like a nitroglycerin factory joke in the making here of like, you couldn't hear a dump truck driving over a nitroglycerin factory. It's like one of those jokes where Tyrus drives over just the right second. Boom! Everything goes great. Hooray! Hurrah! They're all celebrating. Isn't this great? And again, Warner's still a little stressed out, but everything went off great. So we should all be happy, right? But Mike gives that knowing Ermintrout look. The dead naturalized, to quote you.
I don't know about this guy. I thought Kai was trouble, but it might be Werner that's the problem.
So the Germans are celebrating, and even as you see in the image before you hear it, they get Mike to take a beer and says, "No, thank you, I'm on duty." That to me is Jonathan. That to me is my Jonathan Banks moment for the episode right there. Just that moment, there's just no thank you. I just love that bit. He's just so humble in the corner, like no, don't do that. They give him a beer, and even Mike drops his guard down. Everything went well, no headaches there. Good job. That's beautiful. Like they're walking. Mike gave him, Kai and Mike. They've kind of amazingly, they've kind of mended things a little bit. Delightful. So then what happens?
So he goes over to Werner, and he kind of, he kind of calls Werner out a little bit here. He's like, "Look, I know that there's something up with you, and I need to know what's going on."
I like that he's approaching me as a friend, though. I need to know what's going on here. What's happening?
Mm-hmm. And Werner is basically saying that the work's taking a little longer than anticipated, and he appreciated the R&R, but but he's really missing his wife, who, of course, we set up in the last episode.
I love that we addressed something here we've never addressed in the Albuquerque.
Mike's wife.
Yes, and that's the one element with Mike I'm still dying to see if we ever get any more like this. Obviously, Mike has a son, and we've never really seen his wife. We've never really kind of done anything with that. So I'd like to at least we mentioned it here. We don't need to do a lot with her. It's like when she's addressed like this, I like that. So. Mm-hmm. The fact that Mike was married for 22 years and Werner 26 years, and so when you get there, you'll know what it's like when you're adrift with. Basically, Werner feels adrift without his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as this thing's going to take longer and longer, he's just missing her like all get it. And again, I love this. Again, this is the big payoff for the whole season here. That Mike and Werner, they've developed the trust, they developed the genuine friendship here, and even Werner screwed up and Mike's looked past it. Werner here takes a big risk. He's very respectfully but hesitantly. And I love that. Again, I think you said it best in that last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago. I think it was the last episode. That Werner is somewhat Mike's antagonist this season.
I mean, like I said, it was like Kai is the ultimate red herring there. You know what I mean?
Because that's the thing. I love that Werner is Mike's personal Gail Bedecker. That this guy, something bad's going to happen to him, but you love the guy though. And that he's very respectfully proposing kind of a way of seeing. He wants to go back to Germany for a weekend, essentially, for like a couple days. You basically take the weekend, the days mainly to travel, and leave very detailed instructions for the rest of the guys so they can follow the instructions so the work wouldn't be interrupted, so they can get the job done. And of course, this is a huge risk, and this is a very big ask.
Oh yeah.
And what is Mike doing?
He says that he's going to arrange a long phone call tomorrow.
He gives him the advice that you trust me, you're going to want to stick things out so you'll never have to be away from your wife again. You stick things out here. And again, I love that. See, that's the thing. Mike doesn't have to offer him more phone time, and I love that. That speaks to the friendship, and that speaks to how painful it's going to be when something bad happens coming up.
Oh yeah.
Oh geez. So that's all great. And again, it's like stay strong. I just love he says you hang in there. It's like that man Mike likes this guy. We like this guy because if you get the thumbs up from Mike, you've done something right in life. Okay.
All right.
Who wants some chicken?
I think Lalo wants some chicken, Dragon.
Yes, he does.
Do you want some chicken, Hector?
So,
Ding.
a ringing endorsement. So, yes. We have here's an old returning favorite. I like this guy. Lyle.
If there's one thing that's more certain than death and taxes, Dragon, it's Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul bringing back people that they like.
Yeah. So Lyle, for those who may not remember, last season, Hector Salamanca, he showed up at the Pollos Hermanos restaurant, and he was causing a lot of trouble there. And of course, we had the lovely staff of Pollos Hermanos that Gus Fring treats really nicely, and I believe the manager, if not like basically the head honcho at the Pollos Hermanos, is Lyle.
Mm-hmm.
And Lyle is informing his good old employer, Mr. Gus Fring, that one of Salamanca, and I love that we addressed this. I love that one of that guy from last year's guys is here. He's not causing any trouble. He's not the scary old guy, but he's he's one of his guys though. So he informs Gus as he should. Though, thank you, Lyle. I'll deal with you personally. So then Gus does what he does, and of course it's always great when we do this in the Albuquerque verse for Gus Fring and hiding in plain sight as the Pollos Hermanos owner.
Oh yeah.
He greets the very eager customers.
And then Lalo is just on fire in this scene. This is my favorite Lalo scene so far.
Yeah, I'm loving Lalo. He's great.
Lalo is just like, you know what? This chicken is just the best chicken that I've ever had. I mean, it's crispy, but it's not too dry. And then Gus is just like, he's so happy, man. I wish I had a screenshot of him. He's just like, I'm delighted to hear that. It's so great, man. It's just like, these two are just like more like the Salamancas and Fring are just like mortal enemies with each other. And yet the pleasantry radar is just off the charts.
Yes, I mean, Lalo is being so complimentary, so pleasant, and I just love in this scene. Michael Manda is so great in this scene to me. I was laughing so. Michael Manda has some great, but he doesn't really do a lot in this episode. I love what he's doing with very little here. Just Nacho, he's getting. Of course, we know Nacho. Nacho's caught between the two families already, and again, Lalo seems to be a guy who can catch on real fast. So again, Nacho is in very hot water, and he's between the more intimidating of the two parties here. Gus Fring, and he knows Gus is peeved with him right now. And he knows that if Lalo catches wind of it, he's a goner. He's a dead man. So not just caught in the middle of the most stressful situation ever, and it's just so caught in the middle. And then Lalo's just he's pushing it even further. And it's like, yes, look. I know this is probably impossible. It's probably going to be a no. Is there any way I could speak with the owner? He says, I am the owner. Really? How lucky
am I?
Oh, that's great. So he says he very eagerly wants to invest in franchising. Tiki?
So Fring invites Gus into his office.
No, Tiki, franchise.
What? Oh, franchise.
If we've ever had an in for that line, we have to do it here.
Okay,
so,
fair enough.
But yeah, so he's going to the office, and then we have this bit with Manda that cracks me up. This is the thing that just makes me laugh so hard. So Lalo says, "Don't waste that." He tells Nacho to eat up on the chicken. They're like, "Don't waste that." And then as Lalo heads to the back room, we just this moment. It's terrifying and hilarious. Where Fring looks at him and he does that thing where Giancarlo Esposito. He just gives him that look of like he goes from like the friendly guy with the big smile to like, "I'm going to kill you with a look." And Nacho just gives this perfect expression with his hands. Like it's like shrugging his shoulders, that moving his shoulders. Like I don't know. I have to tell you.
Right.
Just that shrug is like perfect. They're like, I don't know what to tell you. Just want a chicken. Okay, so what happens?
Okay, so Lalo actually tells him that he's been an admirer of Gus for many years. And, he comes here on behalf of his family, basically offering a truce, right?
Yes, because as we saw at the end of last season, Gus did something really gutsy and really awesome and unexpected. He saved Hector Salamanca.
Sure.
Which has earned him some points here. And I love that. I love humble Gus Fring. Humble Gus Fring just makes me happy. It's just like, oh, no, I did anything anybody would. Of course, he saved the man that he hates, and what Lalo's doing right now, he's entertaining the notion of moving past the bad blood. Is the way the operations goes that Fring moves the product, the Salamancas, and the muscle, and he theorizes. Lalo here basically theorizing that Don Eladio likes the bad blood, and he suggests that I'm not sure how. Well, I think this is season 5 territory they're hinting at right here, like seeing what the grand plan might be. But what Lalo's suggesting here is that perhaps, again, they're not really like nailing this. They're not really drawing up a contract or anything for this. I don't know how much this is just like cat and mouse. I don't know, but he's essentially saying if we were to make peace, we'd have to fake a feud to mask it so Eladio doesn't get mad, so Eladio doesn't catch on. I think Gus sees the bait here, but to what end? That's the thing. I wonder how much of the bait does Gus see here? Like how much of this is genuine? How much of this is all facade? Like he knows that this guy's baiting. Is the question of like how much does Lalo really know? Vince Gilligan had the perfect comparison, the perfect analogy for what Fring versus Lalo is. You know what it is?
What is it?
It's Gus Fring's a chess player. He's a guy playing chess, and Lalo's playing checkers.
Right.
That's the thing. He's all about jumping all around the place, and he's a very kind of more bubbly of the game. But Fring's like the cold, calculated chess player. But he's just like he's playing chess against Fring, but he's using checker pieces. Anyway,
all right.
So let me see. If there's anything major. We have this great foreshadow. Remember this great line here? You would be crazy to go up against Eladio. Of course, big salute reference, big salute foreshadow. And I love that look. It's that pause. If you've seen Breaking Bad, you know, I know this is going. This is great. They have this handshake, and he says, "I'll be back for more chicken," which of course is kind of a vague threat of I might.
It is a threat. Yeah, it's too tasty to stay away from.
So on his way out, he basically asks, "Hey, where's the product coming?" You pick up essentially 6 bricks of product. Where does he keep it? The chicken farm, which I think we may have technically been the chicken farm. But we didn't really see the chicken farm well because remember when Arturo got killed off of the bag?
Right.
I'm getting the sense that might have been the chicken farm. Basically, whenever those brick deals had been going on, that was probably the chicken farm. We just haven't seen the big kind of chicken location. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they're going to head there next, and that's where we're going to see in the next episode. It's a bit of setup for the next one. Okay. And he litters, too. He litters. Darn you. Lalo, pure evil. He litters.
All right, so Dragon, you ready for one of the most personally upsetting scenes I've ever seen on TV?
Really? You were really affected by this one, weren't you?
Yeah, well, considering it took me almost 10 years to get a job after graduating high school, yeah.
Okay. So we're at Jimmy's.
Job denial is something that yeah, it was tough to watch.
Okay, so Jimmy's, it's the big day of Jimmy's hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing to get the law license back, by the way, in case we skipped over. I think we might have skipped over. He's getting the law license back. It's this whole hearing.
We did skip over that. Yeah, we skipped over the whole, like tomorrow, like in 1 week's time, I'll be a lawyer again. I'll be James McGill Esquire.
Exactly. So again, Jimmy's like, he tells this to Kim, and there's going to be a payoff with Kim with that. So importantly, Kim knows this too. So she knows, like, he's going to have this meeting, which again, in theory, will go like gangbusters. Just goes in there, says like a little exit interview, then hey, law license comes back. We're all good here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the big day of Jimmy's hearing. You see him outside, the bit outside, where it's just like, I love this bit. Kind of makes you question the sincerity just a little bit here, because he's just kind of out there, just kind of like preparing some answers, possibly just kind of psyching himself up. So I love that we kind of have a little bit of that there.
Sure. All right.
Okay.
So let's see. We have letters from his supervisor, and we have from
his PPD guy. Basically checking all the boxes.
CC Mobile manager. He's got the silver card, the Silver Circle Award 3 months in a row.
I love that, by the way. I just love they kind of made that up. Just this whole like the little employee of the month circle. But I think Jimmy comes across as I think he's humble until he gets to the last question here. That's my take on it. I think he's genuinely humble. The job did give him some perspective, and we know it gave him some perspective because he was echoing a lot of that with Kim. With he's given, like, the job gave him perspective on contracts and kind of statutes and stuff they use in the legal world.
Yeah. I think he's pretty much like aced the interview, honestly, which made it all harder for me to watch it.
And of course, he's also, but he's being a little cocky, but not too cocky at the beginning here, where he's citing, like, he's been keeping up with the law, Crawford versus Washington, like all this, like, he's citing classic Scalia, which, Tiki, trust me when I say Scalia is like a big deal in the legal community. He's like one of the big names in law, so he's kind of citing the best there. So, questioning the So they're asking him to reflect on the suspension.
Greg, you give me 1 minute. I'm gonna grab a coffee. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, like 1 second. All right. Just go through it a little bit.
Sure. So they're questioning. They're asking Jimmy to reflect on his suspension. Like, did you reflect on anything? And he's doing. He was humbled by the stupidity of his actions. And he's feeling very remorseful, like that'll never happen again. He vows that something like this will never happen again, which, as we know, it's Saul Goodman, well, probably not going to be like an ironclad, but more of like a guideline than a rule of thumb for him. So then we have, I believe it's Meg or Megan. I believe I forget if it's Meg.
Meg.
God. So we have Meg. She's asking the big question in the room here. She's asking the first of two big questions here. They're both kind of linked. Asking the big question, what does the law mean to you? And the minute I heard this question, I was thinking, uh-oh, that's going to be a problem. Because again, there's an element of truth in everything Jimmy said up to this point in the interview. That he has learned stuff, maybe not 100. He has been keeping up with stuff. He's not necessarily fibbing at all during this interview until this point where. And here's the thing, he's still not even lying with this answer coming up. But remember, as we've set up so well with Chuck for 3 seasons, the law is sacred to most lawyers, but not to Saul Goodman. Mm-hmm. Law is not sacred to Saul Goodman. So I just love the great dramatic irony of posing this question to him as he's entering the threshold of his character for the end of the season and going into the future of Breaking Bad, between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. This is I love that we pose this great question to Saul Goodman here. It's like, what does the law mean to you? It's like that's the last fire, like the last threshold in fire that he has to cross before facing his destiny.
Right.
So Jimmy starts to stumble in his answer here, and basically gives him a song and dance, and it's a good song and dance. Again, so far so good. He's giving him a good song and dance. He's mentioning American Samoa. And again, I love that American Samoa is the symbol of Saul Goodman in the Jimmy McGill. I love that. It's kind of it's the perfect kind of from Jimmy to Goodman there. He's always citing go land crabs, like the big thing that started the path of Jimmy McGill. He became a lawyer that irritated his brother so much because of American Samoa. I love that. That was his big undoing in life. American Samoa. Like had he gone through any law school, he would have been respected by his brother, and we wouldn't have a show.
Right.
I love that it's a really look, folks. We're not going to be doing it justice here. We're just the cliff notes. I just love that he gives a glowing say. American Samoa. I know it's not like a big law firm, but you know what? They gave me an in. It was in. It's a really beautiful thing about Bob Odenkirk. It's a beautiful monologue that Bob Odenkirk gives about what does the law mean to you, and him thinking on his feet. And I think at the very end, I think he's telling the absolute truth here, where he's saying, but basically him not being he loves fighting for his clients, and that's the best thing I've ever done. And this past year, God, I've missed it. Like that line right there, Tiki, that thing, it's the best thing I've ever done. That's Jimmy McGill. That's Saul Goodman at his core saying, I do scams, I've done bad stuff, I'm not a moral guy, but the closest thing to a good thing I do as a lawyer is kind of fighting for people's rights. And it's like the closest thing to a moral thing that Saul Goodman's ever done in life. I love that line.
Yeah, good stuff.
So then what happens?
So then they say that we'll give him they'll mail him the answer, right?
Well, yes, but right before that we have the big moment of here's the big undoing right here. So Meg questions his influences. Do you have any other?
You're right.
Meg's asking, do you have any other influences? So the minute she said that, I was waiting for Chuck to be mentioned this whole time, and then Meg's basically put this is like them spelling out here that Meg is questioning any other influences. And then she said influences, like it has. She's waiting to hear Chuck. She's waiting to hear Chuck brought up. Of course, Big Pill in the legal community hinges on like what got him suspended in the first place. Chuck has to be mentioned here, and Jimmy's never gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
But Jimmy, then again, the minute he said this is like, oh my God, he's so screwed right now. He says yes, and this is the only time he does sound really insincere here. I love this selling the delivery here. Yes, the University of American Samoa.
Oh boy.
Go land crabs.
Yeah, that's it. Those two words right there. That's what sunk Jimmy McGill.
This is okay. That's it. That you're going to get a letter in a few days showing our decision. See you in a few days. Jimmy leaves, but he lingers. And the minute he's lingering, I was thinking, is Jimmy going to do something like he did in episode 2? He's going to go back in the room. We did something even worse than that. He doesn't. Okay, because I was thinking it was going to be, oh boy, he's going to turn around, he's going to go in the room, something's going to happen. It's not going to. It's like Vegas. It can't happen 2 times in a row. So some time goes by, and Jimmy's waiting outside till I love this. He's waiting till somebody leaves. He realizes he can't just barge into the room while they're on there. He's waiting for someone to leave. Mm-hmm. The clerk, like the secretary, the lady who kind of ushers him in there. Mm-hmm. She leaves, and he basically gives he reads her saying, look, I know I'm going to get a letter here, but how do you think I did in there? And she kind of basically he reads it on her face that no, and he frantically runs. He runs to the room thinking, basically realizing there's a back door to the room which they've left through because he's hoping they're all going to be in the room. Like no, and he's chasing them down, and he chases down the chairman of the board here, the chairman of the committee here. And he sees him on the stairs, and he chases him down, and very desperately, he's just like accosting the guy. I was like on the edge of my seat, like, no, Jimmy, don't do this. This isn't going to end well. Jimmy frantically chases him down and asks for a reason. Come on!
Exactly what makes the scene so hard to watch is like that he's just tanking it the whole time. You know what I mean?
I love that he's just desperately asking, please! I love the desperation in his voice. I did everything right, and he reluctantly tells
like I
Jimmy.
said, I've been in this exact not this exact same position. Obviously,
you never told me you were a lawyer.
I know, but I've been in positions where it's like I felt like I've nailed everything about a job interview. I felt like I've had the exact skills they're looking for, the exact experience they're looking for. And sometimes I don't even get a callback. Sometimes I didn't even get an interview to begin with when I applied. You know what I mean? So it's those moments in life that kind of call back to me and make the scene so powerful for me.
The chairman tells him there was a very specific reason his license is not going to be renewed. He and the other board members felt that he wasn't sincere. And I just love this moment, how it lingers. It's just, you weren't sincere, and Jimmy has to process that. He says, you're free to apply next year. And again, that one hurts right there when he says, you're free to apply again. He has to wait a whole year before he can apply again. And he leaves, and Jimmy's on the staircase, and he throws his lawyer bag in, the symbol of his hopes and dreams. He throws it hurls it at the wall across from him. Then we have this guy behind him on the stairs just kind of like, okay, I'm going to just tiptoe around this guy, which is funny. So poor Jimmy. So Jimmy, again, this is one of those episode 9 moments here. We have 2 big episode 9 moments, and there's a lot of. Literally, it's episode 9. So bear in mind the whole episode is full of episode 9 moments. But one of those big flagship moments in episode 9, it's like a pimento sandwich moment.
Uh-huh.
This is one of those moments. This and the big scene on top of the parking garage. Let's say those 2. This is the first one. Oh God, something big always has. This is like Chuck breaking Jimmy's heart in episode 9. So, Mike, what's going on?
Yes. So, they're checking with all the security cameras.
Guy's cheating at volleyball.
It's like, oh, that guy.
Why does he have to cheat? Why would Kai have to cheat? Who cheats at volleyball? That's my real question. Anyway. Werner's talking to his wife, and this is a beautiful little moment here. He's just like, he's been talking to his wife. I'm sorry, keep going.
Yeah, and also, I'm sorry, you're right. Let's see, they've been saying goodbye for about 20 minutes or so. They've got a new puppy, and it's peeing everywhere, according to the conversation.
They're planning a trip to the spa.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like the usual.
And then he's been on for like an hour. Should I cut him off, or should I give him like the 10-minute wrap up, and then Mike has this beautiful bit. It's like, this is pure Banks magic, baby. This is Banks magic, baby. Where he says,
David, Mr. Banks.
Yeah.
All right.
Right there. Or basically Mike says, let him go on as long as he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice, very nice. And of course, say, okay, he's wrapping up now. So then Vince Gilligan, he loves, basically Vince Gilligan really strategically kind of worked out this shot here. You can tell a Vince Gilligan shot because Vince Gilligan will take a setting and he'll shoot it from a different angle you haven't seen before. Like Vince Gilligan's shots a lot of the time in his direction are very exploratory. They're exploring a space, they're lingering on these little details. You're very much like Walter White looking at the painter like a little mustard stain in episode 1 of Breaking Bad. Like, those are the moments that Vince Gilligan lingers on.
Sure.
So basically, Warner puts out a cigarette and he's walking back. And again, we're kind of exploring the space in a way that kind of a more paranoid way, where as he's walking back, Warner is planning something that we're going to see at the end of this episode. He's planning something, which is why he's looking at the security cameras. And boy, oh boy, my read on this is that he's walking back, and that moment where he's standing right before he walks in his trailer, I think that moment's where he confirms the idea of, I didn't want to have to do this, but I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think him telling his wife is planning out that weekend. They're going to go to the spa for that weekend.
All right, so Dragon, you ready for one of the most heartbreaking shots of Better Call Saul?
Oh, God, yes.
World's second best lawyer again.
Yep, and Tiki, something dawned on me with this that didn't occur to me before, and I think it's beautiful. The idea is that Kim, the first time we saw the mug, the first time we saw the world's second best lawyer, which again is just a perfect symbol for Saul Goodman, by the way. It's perfect. It's red, and it's red and yellow, which again the colors of criminality. It's perfect. It never occurred to me that Kim Wexler used her own red nail polish to put the second on that on that mug. and she did that again with a new mug, and and of course wrote again. Like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And these are the touches that make you fall in love with Kim Wexler. Yes. So she's preparing to celebrate with Jimmy's assuming victory, and like, okay, everything's gonna go great, hooray! And she's multitasking too. Like, she's on a conference call. And I love her. I love that her focus is on Jimmy though. Like, she's pausing the conference call to do her stuff on the side here, which is great. But she's still on the ball. She can multitask. She's good at it. And she got him a monogram bag. She got him a JMM bag. And again, of course, the fact they just threw his other bag against the wall just makes this perfect.
Oh yeah.
It's just it's perfect. The symbol of Jimmy McGill versus Saul Goodman here is just it's all the tragedy is like the pedestal is collapsing beneath itself at this point. You get the pedestal, it's up there, but it's gonna fall any second. Like the earth, like the crack, it's like cracks in the ice. It's like shh, and like you can feel like the pebbles coming out of it from the bottom here as Kim gets that call. It's like, Kim, don't pick up the phone.
Right.
She gets a call, and basically as she kind of like she drops some legalese on her guys there, she gets a call on the other line on her cell phone, and we cut to Jimmy McGill driving the Esteem like a maniac up the parking garage, fuming. He's angry, he's peeved, and Bob Odenkirk loves it when he gets to drive like this, by the way. Drives up the parking garage. The Schweikert and Coakley parking garage, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Drives all the way to the top, and we just have Kim standing there all ready for like the crap to hit the fan. How does it start, Tiki?
Insincere. What am I supposed to do? Wait a whole goddamn year? I tell you one thing, I'm not selling fucking cell phones for a whole year.
Well-deserved F-bomb.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh boy, I'm saying this is a big scene here. Folks, this is one of the biggest scenes of the whole season. Maybe.
How do you disprove insincere? Don't even start with me about an appeal.
I love that Jimmy's also thinking as a lawyer here that, okay, I'm screwed here, and basically he's waiting for the paperwork to go through, which means Jimmy is in big trouble. He has like less than a day to change this. And the minute they see insincere, he's a goner. Insincere would be he's screwed with the board. Like the minute that paperwork gets filed and they see the words insincere, that's the kiss of death. That's the death of Jimmy McGill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not the metaphorical. You know what I mean? We've been going through all sorts of deaths of Jimmy McGill throughout 4 seasons at this point. Anyway, so again, Bob Odenkirk. This is an Emmy scene for Bob Odenkirk. They're just so desperate here. He's like, I was good, Kim. I wasn't stuck up, but I knew my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And until that question, what is again? Ray Seahorn. She's so minimal at first in this scene. It's perfect. You see the stressed out look on her face, and basically she's basically her face is like bracing yourself. Essentially, it's like she's bracing herself for the bad news, and that's the expression on her face that she's going with. It's a really smart choice, and Jimmy's seeing that, and he wants to get an emotional reaction before like the prepare for the bad news face. And he's saying, what does the law mean to you? Yeah, that's a weird question. I love how my heart goes out to Kim in this scene here. She's just trying to be on his side here.
I love the conversation that was had on the Insider podcast about like basically everyone involved in this scene, from Gilligan in the writing chair to Seahorn and Odenkirk from different sides of the acting. They all had different reads on who was in the right in this argument.
Oh yeah. So Kim knows that it had to be more than that. There had to be something else had to go wrong. So Kim essentially is the fixer. She's the problem solver in this situation. Kim is trying to find out, okay, what went wrong? How can I fix this? Again, Kim is being nothing but helpful in this scene. Kim is trying to help. Kim is now again. We're going to get to. I think Kim does make one mistake in all this. But again, it's a very the big. Honestly, Tika, this might be one of the single greatest Rorschach scenes in the whole season.
Oh yeah.
One of the great Rorschach scenes. Whose side are you on? Who's in the right? Exactly. It's definitely in the middle. There's a lot of gray here. Kim's just trying to find out what exactly did it. What did it, and what can she undo? How can she help? And she has. What did they say when you mentioned shock? And then we have the big moment here. Tika, this is the brilliant stroke of the whole season, ever since episode 1. This is what's been building between the two of them here. Jimmy has not dealt with his feelings about Chuck, and this is the first time where it's like stop Jimmy from achieving his big goal for the season. This is, in the grand scheme of things, this is the last screw you from Chuck, ultimately. It's the fact that Chuck kind of gets the last laugh of "you're not going to be a lawyer because of me."
Right, exactly.
Essentially, that's now. I don't want to again. There's always there are layers. To be look, there are
ghost Jimmy. I'm here to haunt you in the afterlife.
In all seriousness, there are layers to Chuck. I get it. I don't want to jump on the whole hate Chuck bandwagon because that's not fair. Because again, there's a lot of great complexity to Chuck. But at the end of the day, it's like Chuck did screw him at the end here. So again, Jimmy not confronting his problems has been the big thing that Kim's worried over him for the whole season. Kim's made all of her decisions based on the fact that Jimmy's not dealing with the loss of Chuck, and she doesn't know that last scene that Jimmy and Chuck had. She does not know how Chuck broke Jimmy's heart. She does not know that. Jimmy's not told her. That's the reason. That's the big thing that they're lacking to be on the same page here. So, why would I talk about Chuck? And Kim, on her face, you can see she gets it now, like us, the audience. She's caught up. She knows, okay, yep, that's what did it. You see it on her face. And yeah, she's... And then she's trying to get into problem solver mode here. And I think the idea is that Jimmy is hurt by the fact that she's not taking Jimmy's side. She's accepting it, but she's not like saying, "Oh, Jimmy, that's so unfortunate." Like she's not on his. She's not saying something to indicate that she's on his side. She's not saying that's so unfair. Like she understands it. That's the thing. She's jumping to the event. She's skipping the initial shock, and that's what's bugging Jimmy. What do you think?
Yeah.
Right. So, and Jimmy's so bothered by, like, you don't believe me, do you? That's what's sticking in Jimmy's craw right there. You don't believe me. Jimmy, I guess Jimmy's projecting, tell me if I'm crazy. I think Jimmy's projecting his inadequacies onto Kim. This is the thing that's been building ever since.
Absolutely. I feel like this is like basically just him using Kim is an emotional punching bag, and Dragon, I should know because, like, as someone who does have a lot of anxiety and depression running through my brain a lot of the time, I've definitely been in Jimmy's position here, and I have gone off on people I love. So, it's I can relate to this.
Right. And Jimmy, he's basically this is an argument they've been kind of waiting to have for many seasons now. Where Kim, honestly, ever since the tape, ever since Click, technically, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So so Jimmy, he's projecting all the greater kind of eventual Saul Goodman inadequacies onto her. Like, I'm the lawyer. Honestly, this is something we've even started since the Kettlemans. I'm the lawyer only guilty people would hire. And it's always been kind of like a class thing, a feeling of I'm inadequate compared to you, Kim Wexler. That like every time you look at me, all you see is slipping Jimmy. And Kim then spells out, okay, look, you know what it is? She spells out the Chuck point of like, you didn't mention Chuck. The reason you're in this predicament in the first place, you didn't mention him, and they noticed. That's what got you the insincere. And then Jimmy, again, Kim doesn't have all the information here. Jimmy's telling her that you don't. Look, I don't think about Chuck. I don't miss Chuck. So sue me. Finito. It's done. And then, of course, Tiki, this is the line that killed me, and I thought, this is a brilliant line here. Again, only Odenkirk in, like, you can get comedy and we can get drama all in the same moment here, because it's a funny line, but it has such heartbreaking connotations with it. Where Odenkirk looks to her, and again, you see her expression after that whole, like, so sue me. It says, and that look right there. That's why we don't have an office.
Yeah.
That line's perfect. It's silly, but again, as we said, that's the sticking point. To Jimmy, Jimmy's doing everything but proposing to her, and that office is the marriage. That to him is like the light at the end of the tunnel. That's his Shangri-La. That's his Eden. That's what he wants. He wants to share an office. Wexler and McGill, not Wexler McGill. Wexler and McGill. And then she's like turning on her head here, saying, "It's always about the stupid office. Like, what more do you want?"
Like as long as I've known you since the very beginning, I've been on your side. I've nailed you out of any situation. Like you confess to a felony on tape, I'm there, and and it all boils down to you sharing a stupid office with me.
The office,
maybe just laying it back into her, like, oh, sure, you can live with me, you can sleep with me, but God forbid you share a fucking office with me.
And I love that this has been ever since the first season. Because remember the big office thing with the Kettlemans. He tried to get her that office. He's been trying to get her having sharing an office and kind of going into business with her ever since the very beginning. And this is a very personal sticking point for him. I love how it just kind of blooms to the surface here, where essentially I think the greater implication in all this, I think what really is that Jimmy hates the fact. The one thing that always bothers Jimmy about Kim, and I could be reading into this here, but it really feels like Jimmy's the one ever since the beginning. Now, we saw the flashback this very season. We saw the flashback to where Kim was trying to be a lawyer and Jimmy was inspired by her to become a lawyer himself.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a similar dream, and Jimmy saw her potential before anyone else did. He was there since the beginning in her corner. And ever since, for us, ever since the first season of Better Call Saul, he's always saying, "Yeah, you should leave HHM. You should go in the business for yourself. You and I should have an office." The fact that Jimmy is the one from the very beginning who said, "Be your own lawyer. Get out of HHM shadow," and she never listened to him until Howard Hamlin kicked her around and all that stuff, happened. And I think that's why he needs that office. That's why he needs that validation. It's less the fact that she's saying no to the office. It's the fact that I saw potential in you before. You're ascending. You're going your way right now. Everything's going great for you, but But if it's with me, it means nothing. Like, I was the one who saw it before anyone else. I saw your potential, and you never acknowledged. She never acknowledged that. Like, the office is the ultimate thank you and acknowledgement for believing in me. And she's never given that to Jimmy. So I think that's really why he's angry.
Yeah, I can see that.
So let's see. So following that, oh yes, we have a callback to one of our favorite lines.
All you want to do is just roll around in the dirt with me every once in a while.
I love that.
It's convenient for you.
When you get bored, you roll around the dirt with Slip and Jimmy. And of course, we call back the whole Schweiker and Coakley office thing, the whole office party. Here's, "Oh yes, you take me to your office. God forbid you take me back to the office in the sky." I love how mythic he makes it all sound. It's going to the Olympus that is Schweiker and Coakley up there. And again, knowing where Saul Goodman's going to end up, it's a perfect analogy that, yeah, she's going to move up in the world and he's going to be a strip mall lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next, and of course, then this is where it really hurts right here. She says, "Maybe next time you call, I won't come." Yeah, sure, kick a man while he's down. And then here's the line. Tiki, this line still hurts me. I got to tell you, this line really hurts.
Oh, man. All right.
When a pause goes by, and she just looks at him, looks through him practically, and she looks into his eyes and kind of hurts him here. Says, "Jimmy, you're always down."
Yep.
And leaves him alone on that roof. God, man, that's still, oh my God.
And that is probably the most devastating. It's like, it's cataclysmic on an emotional level. You know what I mean? It's
the lowest I think we've ever seen these two.
Uh-huh.
So later, we have a very somber return. Again, it looks like Tiki, and again, they keep doing this, and it shouldn't work, but it works.
I know. It's like, when are they going to break up? When are they going to break up? Are they going to break up now? Nope.
It's like an Infinity War thing where you snap, and then you bring him back, and then you kill him again. It's oh God. Anyway, so later, it's the somber return where it looks like, okay, well, it's the end of the relationship. They had a good run. Jimmy's seemingly packing up his stuff to move out. Like he's ruined the relationship. And then we have this really great, and it's a beautiful scene. It's a raw apology. I love how we do the mirror shot like we had in the Something Stupid episode. And this is beautiful, understated scene where Jimmy says to her in the reflection, "I messed it all up." And Tiki, again, I don't know how they keep doing it. We have this moment where the relationship bounces back, where you think it's curtains, you think it's gone, or they could have their cake and just gonna go home happy with less work, but no, they're putting in the extra elbow grease. They're putting in that Emmy work, darn it.
Oh God.
Where again, they're achieving the impossible here by keeping us on the hook and keeping the relationship alive. Where this beautiful line, who again is Jennifer Hutchinson, she knocked out of the ballpark with this line here, a line that cements Saul Goodman's destiny. Where Kim Wexler she poses the question, "Do you still want to be a lawyer?" Yeah. Well, we can start with that. It's like, oh my god, such an Emmy moment. Oh my, that's so beautiful. It's like, yes, he wants to become a lawyer, and she's opening up the dream. Like she right now, she's putting her foot in the door to create Saul
It's
Goodman,
almost
but she
kind of
doesn't
like
know
the
that's.
inverse of the "what does the law mean to you" situation. It's another pivotal question in the life and times of Saul Goodman. You know what I mean?
Again, this is the dramatic origin of Saul Goodman and Kim Wexler, of Kim Wexler creating Saul Goodman with that line of like, we could end it here, they could be separated. Like again, Jimmy might fall into a deep depression, never even become Saul Goodman, but she has him on the line. She's created him. Oh boy! So then, what's our last scene here?
Last scene, Mike rolls up to the security cameras. Everything seems fine and dandy, right, Dragon? It
Yeah,
seems
Mike's
like a
brought
nice
coffee.
normal day, like it's we exchanged some pleasantries with the coffee, like, oh, thanks, Mike. Let's see. We're kind of running through a routine night, kind of giving him the rundown of what was going on in the middle of the night.
And then he notices some dead pixels.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So
Yeah.
on the security cameras, all these security cameras mapping everything out. All the guys, everyone's sleeping right now. They Mike notices basically some blocks on the screen that weren't there before, and those are dead pixels. And there's like some sort of voltage thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Mike being the smart, astute guy, knowing there's something off with Werner here, he's gonna put some stuff together here. So he's checking like security cameras that are basically poised for like if you were gonna leave the place, you'd have to get those cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike's going spring into action here. He goes to Werner's trailer. I love the urgency here. It's like the lights are coming on. It's like everyone's been waking up. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? What's happening? So he goes in there. He finds the letter full of the instructions and an apology to Mike, most likely. And basically, Mike is now he sends one of the guys basically to go be in Warner's shoes and like kind of go through the roof exit. And they find like the door's been unlocked and Jimmy'd open, and then basically Mike is on the ground floor outside, and he finds something as the other guy's to the roof, and he sees that Warner went this way, and he's left. He climbed down the ladder and he left.
And I love how this last shot it tells us everything we need to know with no dialogue. It leaves it out on a high note, and it kind of like almost breaks the fourth wall in a way.
And this is a great callback to what preceded Warner. It was the little measuring laser device.
Exactly.
So Mike uses the basically he discovers in the dirt the little laser measuring device, and basically, and now folks, just in case you're curious, we found this on the Insider podcast. Apparently, this thing would work on '90s era cameras, which is not beyond the realm of possibility because it's 2004 at this point. Better Call Saul. I don't know, maybe it's old technology. You buy discount technology that won't be missed. Maybe, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so it would work if it was '90s era cameras. If it's like in the 2000s, it would work, but it would be really hard to get it. Just points is a little liberty they took. It's a little fun fact. You could make this work. It'd be harder to now, but it could work. So Mike, then the final shot, Tiki. What does he do?
Final shot. Mike points the laser at the camera, fires it into the camera, and
There's it.
the credits.
Yes.
Perfect.
And of course, the whole meet again concept, where again, just thematically, real quick, we meet again. Kim and Jimmy, it seems like they're saying goodbye, yet they're meeting again. And of course, Warner has left, seemingly saying goodbye. And of course, he and Mike are definitely going to be meeting again.
Hell, even the reunion between Lalo and Hector, in a way, it's
yes.
Once again, Dragon. I feel like the titles this season have been really on point, from talk to something stupid to something beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, that's the episode. So promo,
go for it.
Last promo for the season for your folks. So we see Mike is leading a very time-sensitive hunt for Warner. Lalo is spying on Fring's operations at the chicken farm. We have an HHM is back ad. We have like a little commercial being made, but for HHM, and there's Hamlin.
Yep.
Jimmy's at Chuck's grave. Kim is saying to Jimmy, "Whatever happens, I'm with you." We I think we have a line along the lines of, yeah. Oh, Jimmy's telling Kim they're gonna dangle things in front of you, a chance. Basically saying there's a chance, and that's a lie because they made up their minds already. Basically saying in regards to the board, we're gonna go in there, they're gonna have their minds made up, and they're gonna make it sound like we change something, but they've already made up their minds. That's what we have to change. Mike gives Gus the letter, the letter that Warner left with the instructions and everything. And last thing we see is the board waiting to hear Jimmy's statement. All we need to hear is a statement. So that's the last bit of business. That's Jimmy's last chance to change something.
All right.
That's the promo.
Okay, so speculation. I think Paige is going to be Kim's downfall.
Really?
Because think about it, Paige. If Paige looks into anything that Kim did to get the thing done, because she knew it was impossible. She knew that, I don't know. I sense it, Dragon. I sense it. I have a really bad feeling about it.
And they did have that one.
I think Paige is going to confront Kim about it.
They had that one tense scene where Paige kind of spelled it out for Kim, so it wouldn't be coming out of nowhere.
That's what I'm saying.
Not bad.
I don't know. At any rate, I think that one of the big sticking points going into next season is going to be Kim in legal trouble. I really do. I'm sensing it.
Interesting. I like that.
Maybe it's kind of like, sort of the inverse where it's like as Jimmy's getting his law degree back, Kim is losing everything. I really think we're going that way.
I think we're simpatico on that one.
Okay. Honestly, with Lalo and Gus, I don't really know where that's going at all.
Well, let's see. Well, I think Lalo has this. Lalo has a big plan of some kind. We're not exactly privy to what it is, but I think he's going to try to take. I'm sorry, I'm thinking more in relation to Nacho with this, but I think Lalo's going to try to take over Gus's operations, and that's going to fail him. And when Lalo tries to do this, Nacho's going to basically. That's the point where Nacho's going to try to escape. Basically, I think Lalo's going to have a failed attempt to take over Gus Fring's operations, and I think that's going to really. He's going to get the idea at the end of the season. Then he's basically going to spell it out to Nacho. It's going to put the heat on, and then next season's going to be the whole basically the big payoff of that Nacho trying to escape.
What if we see Nacho and Mr. Varga meeting Warner at a bus stop?
That'd be cool. That'd be great. I don't think it's going to happen. That'd be great. Down for that. All right, let's see.
So obviously, I think you know what, Dragon. At this point, I think the German subplot has subverted our expectations so much that Warner might live.
Oh God!
It's like we're so sure that he's a goner, right? We're so sure that he's a goner.
He's a goner.
But I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I think at this point the bigger question is: are all the Germans goners?
I don't think all the Germans. Me personally, I know you have a great theory, and your theory could be awesome. I don't personally believe it. We'll see. I don't. I think the rest of the Germans are going to be fine. I just think Warner's going to bite the dust.
And of course, that's going to be the whole. But you see, Dragon, the whole thing is, from my perspective, is that I think killing Warner but not offing the other Germans, that would be the half measure.
Well, they do need manpower, though.
Yeah, we'll see.
You raise a fair point. I'm just saying
I feel like with all the Germans and all the tension that would be caused by Werner's death, like there'd be a lot of loose ends to cover, man. There'd be a lot of loose ends to cover.
Well, they could always say he went to Belize.
All right.
Basically, they could just say they sent them home. They wouldn't have no idea. So maybe they don't. I don't know.
We'll see.
Okay, so for me, let's see. Okay, big thing. Okay, I think we're gonna have I think the big thing we're gonna end the season out on is Kim's gonna help Jimmy come up with the Saul Goodman loophole.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's gonna be. We're gonna have the Saul Goodman loophole either in victory or defeat, where Jimmy's either going to lose, and the only way out of there is that he could become a lawyer under Saul Goodman, which means he basically takes the correspondence course as Saul Goodman directly. Again, it's a correspondence course, so he does it through the mail. So maybe under the identity of Saul Goodman, he gets his law degree as Saul Goodman from American Samoa. Maybe that's the loophole, or he does it, but he can't use Jimmy McGill. So the point is, I think Saul Goodman loophole is going to get Jimmy's law license back somehow. Let's see. I think on the broad spectrum, especially season 5, I think we're going to facilitate at the end of the season here. I think basically you and I, the thing we're simpatico on here is I think the tragedy of Kim. It sounds like Kim's going to be by Saul Goodman's side towards the beginning of Saul Goodman, and I think the tragedy is going to be Kim being there by choice. Like Kim suffering for the choice to stick with Jimmy after that fight they had.
Right.
Basically Kim sticking with him through thick and thin, continuing to make the same mistake. Ultimately, I think it's going to either lead to her. In middle season 5, she's going to realize this and she's going to leave, and of course that'll lead to kind of hopefully the Cinnabon reunion, or the tragedy of she's still around in Breaking Bad, but she's Saul Goodman's sad wife at home.
Exact. That's where I think they're going with it, Dragon.
Bob Odenkirk had a really great theory I want to highlight here. He had a really great theory that I got to tell you, I could see this working too. Basically speaking to what we saw in this episode, Bob Odenkirk's theory is that Kim exists in Breaking Bad, she didn't leave, she's in Albuquerque, and the idea is she's still, if not at Schweikert and Coakley, she's a successful lawyer, and they're in the places that we know him. He's still Saul Goodman, he's a strip mall lawyer. She's in the heavens, in the Olympus of lawyers, but they make it work. And it's the idea of if these two they exist in their own separate worlds, but they still exist. Basically, Bob Odenkirk had the optimistic perspective. They exist, but again, the Francesca thing complicates that. I think that's the thing that makes me question that.
Right.
But regardless, I mean that's a nice way of thinking about it. It could happen. I don't know.
All right.
Let's see. I think just about. Okay, I think Jimmy. Another potential way of how they're going to undo the big insincere thing. I think Jimmy's going to make a fake show of emotion. This is my big Hamlin theory. I think Jimmy's going to make a fake show of emotion over Chuck, hence the visit to the grave, which will lead to the big win. Because the next episode's called Winner. Lead to the big win of getting his law license back, hence the whole winner of the whole season. Then he's going to tell Kim what happened at the end of season 3 after. He's going to tell her, Chuck told me it never mattered to him. It's going to be a big... Basically, that's going to bond her to him for season 5. She could never leave him after learning what happened there.
I like that.
And the Hamlet of it all is that this big show of emotion over Chuck, I think they're going to manipulate Hamlin into doing a commercial, because remember they're taking a lot of heat right now over Chuck at HHM, and they're saying HHM is back, and that's pretty much what they said in the ad. And I think what's going to happen is Jimmy's going to be part of it. Jimmy's going to construct this commercial for HHM and basically endorse, my brother believed in the law and he believed in HHM. And I think that's it's going to get Hamlin out of his depression, put him back on top, and be a very public show that I care about my brother and I visit my brother on a regular basis. I just didn't mention him in the interviews. I think that's how he's going to get his law license back.
I can see that.
So that's all spec I got. Final thoughts. Do we want to make a call or?
Yeah, let's call.
All right. Well, I just figured because we haven't done it at all this season. I miss Omar, Tiki. Let's call Omar.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. You ready?
I'm surprised Omar hasn't popped up this season, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. 505 242 7700
30?
00.
Okay.
Call may be monthly assurance. Your use of this service does not constitute attorney-client privilege. Thank you for calling the law offices of Davison, Maine for your free class action consultation. If you or a loved one is a resident of a Sandpiper Crossing assisted living facility, you may be eligible for monetary compensation. Please leave your name, number, and your state of residence call will be returned within 24 hours.
Hi, Omar.
All right, final thoughts.
Final thoughts? I think this definitely delivered on the episode 9 promise that we're oh so used to, of episode 9 being one of the most impressive ones of the season. The big, Kim and Jimmy scene is fantastic. It ends with this great resilient subversion that these two, again, they're put through the ringer, and again, they're really airing out some stuff that's been building for a few seasons now, and they're still together. I feel the Werner and Mike story. It's a tragedy in the making. Some bad's gonna happen, but by the same token, I love that we're just you're right, Tiki. The German story has really it's so enamored. You're so enamored with the German story, and I can't fault you. It's because you're so this is going to end badly. And again, broadly with the Mike thing, I think it goes without saying, Mike. It's going to end half measure.
Dragon, I'll say this much: I think this is by far the most I've enjoyed Mike in. We love Mike, of course, but I think this is by far the best Mike storyline of the 4 seasons.
Right. Oh, by the way, with Mike broadly, I think he's gonna end up being like a half measure situation where he's gonna have to kill Warner under Gus's instructions, and they're gonna fake it to make it look like he went back home. They're gonna use the instructions for the rest of the job. That's my Mike.
All right.
But yeah, so again, it's a tragedy in the making. It's a really compelling story. It's basically the whole episode is a prelude to something mythic in the Albuquerque verse, and I really like that. I mean, there's something big's are coming. The whole season's going to build on like tragedies on both sides of Jimmy's side and Mike's side. I'm looking very forward to it. And I think nine subverted some stuff and really kind of it's building up a myth that we're going to see unfold in the next episode. So I really enjoyed this episode.
Okay. Yeah, Dragon, I got really nothing to add. Very, very solid episode 9. Very, incredibly cataclysmic on a personal level, but also oddly enough, kind of inspirational at the same time in certain spots with how resilient Jimmy and Kim's relationship is, but does it spell certain doom? We shall see. I don't know, man. You sum it up so eloquently. I really don't have anything to add. So that'll do it, folks. Dragon, I kind of forgot the outro. I'm terrible.
It's me, Tiki. I started off.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Remember, kids, we get that phone call. Make it count. Better call Saul. Saul Goodman & Associates is the one-stop shop for all your legal needs.
And with that, we are adjourned.
We could totally be lawyers.
Totally.
Insincere.
Sable Hector just wants to kill everybody.